afternoon, everyone, and welcome to another video. In this video, I would like to discuss the reason for the arrest of Christ, which comes from one particular statement. If God were to walk into a church, would he burst into flames? Because you see, when you look at the story of Christ, the reason he was arrested by the Romans in the first place was because there was a warrant for his arrest. Because Jesus himself had burnt down a church. Why did Jesus burn down a church? You see, Christ was a man that spoke that you may be able to find your faith anywhere in the world, and you shall not have to pay in order to be able to pray. And because of this, he found out that the people of the Hebrew faith were being turned away from being able to pray once they found a way to create business around faith. Which is now why, if you wish to go to church and pray, you must pay an offering. But you might say as well, how else would the church be paid for and maintained, built, on and on and on? Welcome to the idea of where do you choose to find your faith? Because from here on in, if you may find your faith outside of a church, where you may now find the same level of resonance in your prayer, that you feel the energy through your legs coursing through your body when you sit to pray at a church? Or is it specifically that the church itself carries a certain energy to it? It is a place of light, a place of power, which in the light you may now see an increase in your resonance, allowing your prayers to be heard better, allowing you to now be able to connect and feel one within the faith of that church. And so, would God burst into flames if you walked into a church? The answer is yes. Because we are now seeing that even in today's world, even Christ would be accused of setting a church on fire, simply for walking into a church. Now, I've just gotten back from watching the candles be ignited, and it became rather apparent that if you are of a different type and you walk into a church, all of a sudden people become rather aware that you are different. And because of this, it gives people ideas, from positive to negative and all that is in between. Would it be fair to say that the crucifixion of Christ was of a fair cause as a result of being accused of setting a church on fire, based on the previous conversations we just had? Well, it depends on who you choose to believe in the church. Because see, it's becoming apparent that wherever Christ goes, Christ is accused, because he is a sinless, and the sinners around are seeking to make him a sinner by placing a sin they have zero evidence for. What is the power of the mind? And what is echolocation? Until you finally reach the state where you have honed and controlled your thought process, you're not a rational person. And until you may sit quietly in your own thoughts without responding physically or reacting physically, but simply letting those thoughts course through you without grabbing onto them. Because you see, the mind is just like a river. And just like a river, it has a current. Which now, if I stand on this current, the water may flow by and just keep passing by. Or I can choose to grab onto the thought the moment I choose to dive in. And from this particular point, I may now get lost and drown in my own despair. The more I choose to chase an idea, the more I drown in it. And so how do you walk on water? Well, you must remain strong within your faith that you will not sink in the depths of despair. No matter what train of thought you experience, that you do not allow yourself to be sunk into your own self. You remain fluid in yourself. And you remain a being of water, which as a whole you are not just a drop in the ocean, you are the entire ocean in one drop. As above, so below. As below, so above. As within, so without. As without, so within. As outside is within. As within is outside. Would Christ burst into flames if you walked into a church? Simply for being different? Or would he burst into flames as an act that would be seen as slightly irrational in today's modern world? And yet, those who condemn and judge their sins onto the innocent are also the same that cast profanities within the house of the Holy Spirit. As a people, I would invite you to experience a church once in your life, just to see if you feel anything towards faith. You might not experience it when you're young, but as you age, it might differ. Thank you, folks.